Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time it is for you. I'm Cyclone. This is Let's Play Train Simulator. We are going to do our temporary finale of Sherman Hill today. We're just going to go ahead and do something on the last scenario of Sherman Hill. But you're going to notice I've already got my 1,000-point score on this one. So, a little boring here. Just going to be a nice little boring drive. You know what? That's not good enough. Hold on just a second. There we are. This is more like it. Notice I have a file here called Arrival of the Thunderheads Special Edition. So, I made some changes to the sucker. I meant to clone the career version of the scenario and just run and just get the extra 1,000 points on my tally, because this is a fairly easy scenario under career standards. But I thought, you know what? I couldn't edit the official scenario. I tried. Trust me. I made a copy. I backed up just to be safe. I went into TS Tools and I said, put this train in here. And I went to load it. Could not load scenario.bin. Okay, so they made sure we couldn't edit official scenarios. They did the right job. They did the right thing there. It's smart for them to do that. You can't edit the official scenario. It won't recognize the correct file. Therefore, you're basically cheating. It makes sense. So even though all I was doing was changing a train, you're still basically cheating to do what you want to do. You have to clone it if you want to actually edit it. So I went back and I went to clone it, and then I accidentally cloned the standard version instead of the career version. So we're just going to go ahead and play with the standard one. That's good enough. We'll deal with it. And it's just going to be a nice casual drive, because as you see, I didn't clear these ones anyway. 4 to 6 are not cleared. I practiced number 3, but I didn't practice 4 to 6. I just did them right on the grading map right away. But we're going to do a special edition of this Thunderbirds one, or Thunderheads one. And we got a few little things I stuck in there that we're going to try to spot as we go. So one of them is pretty easy. It's basically on our cart, on our consist. Let's go take a look at that to start off. Let's see you in the map. Future Cyclone here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this before we actually get the scenario started. You're going to notice right now I am in TS Tools. If you didn't know what TS Tools is, well, now you know. This is TS Tools over here. And you notice it gives you different things. We're going to talk about this at a later time. This is not a tutorial on TS Tools. I'm not going to show you about any of the features here right now. But what I will show you is where I am. I went to Edit Scenarios, which gets you over to here. And then in here, you'll notice that I have History of Sherman Hill selected. And what I did was I selected that and clicked on Edit Selected Scenario. Now, it takes about 3 or 4 minutes for this one to load, so I just kind of went to save time and went ahead and just brought it up already. So I already have it up. So you're going to notice all the different trains in here, and the one that I edited here is naturally, and I saw something go by, pardon my distraction. The one that I added was the one that says it's the player one, which is the 7836 down there in the text box there. So 7836 was all the way up here, and this was the one I edited. So these are the cars I put in from the Independence Local package. If you want to, you could pick either of the other cars. You could go to the GP40 pack, put in the cars from the GP40 pack. You can use whatever you have when you're editing these scenarios. So how I'm going to show you how this works is by editing a certain train on here right now, and I actually have to find it right now. I believe it was a, look at this, SD42 3735. So this is a, not the one that I want. Okay, there's another one on here somewhere that I want to edit, and I'm trying to figure out which one it is, but it is an SD40, and I think it was just listed as a light engine or something like that. I'm just trying to find it now, but it might have been this one. But let's assume that I was going to edit the train that I have up here right now. So you'll notice that I have the that one up, and of course I go to loose consist, pull that one up. I can pull up the tank cars here. I can bring up these wood chip things, and I just haven't found one of these that has an SD40 on it yet, so I haven't really wanted to try and play with those ones. But what I can do is I can definitely bring up this SD40, and if I wanted to, I can go to this right now. I can find the Independence Local package, which is under, was it RS Derek? No, that's the a different one. Sorry. Go back. If we go to RSC, I believe it was, RSC has SD40 UP, no, not UP Heritage, SD40, all of a sudden I can't find it. United Way, SD40 United Way. So if you go to SD40 United Way, I'm just going to go ahead and stop there and cheat and just click diesel and find available rolling stock from there. So we'll search the floors, we'll find the trains, and guess what? There's my SD42 Independence. You can also get the United Way version, which is the exact same thing, but the only difference is that it mentions that it supports United Way. They're the same train. They're both number 3300. It just had the 2 different looks over the course of its lifetime, and as of 2017, it was not used anymore. I think it's actually dismantled now, so you can't even see it anywhere now. But there's the SD42 Independence. If you want to change a loco in, you can do this to change cars as well. I'll show you how to do that in a second. You would go over to swap a single selected item. After selecting the one that you want to change on the consist that you want to change it on, you click on single selected item. You wait for 5 hours or so for it to process, and then it tells you that it is there. Now, if you go clicking around and clicking outside, it will act like it's not there. But if you go save change the scenario, it will eventually show up and stay there. Now, because this is actually train number 3735 and not 3300, unless I want to actually change this to 3300, which I could do, I would otherwise be having a bit of a mismatch in this scenario. So I'm not going to change. I'm not going to go ahead and save this change. But if you do want to change, let's say the tank car as well, you may want to go to freight, and you may want to go and find available rolling stock again after clicking on freight. Otherwise, you're not going to find it. And you'll then find the low gondola that I've used. You'll find the box car. You'll find the hopper 3-bay white and the 16,000 gallon silver. Let's say you want to put some 3-bay whites on there. You can go ahead and take both of those, swap a single selected item, and the SD40 in this scenario now has, well, I'll only change one of them, but you can do it on this one too. And you would literally be able to take all the cars on the train, change them one at a time, or you can change all of them within the scenario, or even across a bunch of different scenarios. If anywhere you see it, if it's a train you don't have, you can change it across all your scenarios, and then it's changed out permanently for everything. So lots of options there. Be careful if you're doing that with official scenarios. It will make them unplayable. So don't do that with official scenarios. Only do it with stuff you don't own, basically. And on clones, if you can. So once you've changed all that, you click on save, and then you're good to go, and you can play the scenario in Train Simulator as if nothing was wrong. Sometimes you'll get an error. You may have to run it into the editor, but then you can eventually save it there again, and you'll still be able to run the scenario perfectly fine. So that is how you change your cars. I did this exact same thing with a different scenario. I'm not going to, I do wish to exit. I'm not going to save that. I made some other changes to a clone copy of Rival of Thunderheads. That's the scenario you're about to see, the special edition version. Obviously, the regular edition is unchanged, but this is the special edition version. This is one you're going to see. This one will not be on the workshop. You can put whatever change you want on your version of it if you want to. This is the only scenario in the entire pack that works well. And it's only for that reason that I went ahead and put the special guest appearance trains on this one. One of them is the Independence Loco. By the way, before we get too far ahead here, I make a mention of BNSF 1776, which is an SD40 too, just like the train we're going to be looking at, but it's not the Union Pacific model that I'm putting in this scenario. The model I put in here is a Union Pacific 3300 is the correct number. Let's get going and take a look at that right now. You'll be running the auto rack train all the way to Cheyenne with Tom. There's talk of a big storm coming. You might make it to Cheyenne before it hits. Okay? Dispatch to 7636. Hang fire just a moment for the main line to clear, then you can begin your run. I'll keep you updated if this storm hits. Roger. So we have a yellow, so I'm just going to go ahead and proceed. We're going to get a green in just a moment here. There it is. So we're leaving at about 2 o'clock. Let's go ahead and take a look as we start our nice little casual run here at the train we're operating today. So I'm going to pop out of the cab and take a look. There's our first engine, 7836. That's our lead engine today. There's 4861. $4995. These are SD 40s, by the way, on this cab, on this setup. And you might have got a glimpse of our special engine back here. This is the Independence Loco, number 1776. It has the 3300 number because it didn't copy over correctly in TS Tools. I didn't change that before running this, but so it's not. I don't know if it's the right number, but actually, you know what? I think it is the right number. I think it is the correct number. So, yeah, we're running the Independence Loco today, as I'm now running in the yard by accident. So we're going to have the Independence Loco, once I get back on it, as part of our consist today. Let's enjoy this run, shall we? I didn't even see what train that was. I want to make sure that wasn't the other train I needed to see. just going to see who this was, and that's just an engine. No, that's a different train. We're good. So yeah, we got the lovely Independence local on here. There is another one with number 1776. I don't know if it's that one or the other one, but there is a United Way version as well. I did set the numbers to change as I put them in the scenario, and I think this means that they are actually in the scenario as their actual numbers. So 3300, I think, is the actual number for that train. I thought it was 1776. What do I know? I might be thinking of an ES44 AC. But in any case, my understanding is that this train, that locomotive doesn't exist anymore, so I wanted to give it a special run in this scenario. Just kind of as a tie back to the changes I made in the first scenario, History of Sherman Hill, as I call it. You may recall that I put some brown containers and some grain hoppers or gravel hoppers, whatever they were, as my consist in that. Now, fun fact, I'm taping this version of this scenario, all the stock of storms, there's barely a breeze or a cloud in the sky. I'll believe it when I see it. You'll believe it in a moment, Tom. Weren't you with me back on the trip along the westbound track one day? In any case, yeah, so my understanding is that this Independence loco is no longer exists. So as I was saying, I wanted to touch back to the previous scenario. I kind of, I'm taping this run right after, basically about an hour after taping the other run that you saw a few days ago on this channel, or maybe a week ago or whenever it was I posted it. I'm posting this one maybe about a week or a couple weeks later. So I am playing this run immediately after that run in real time. And I thought I wanted to touch back and do kind of touch back to that previous run. And by doing that, it means that I get to, I didn't want to go there. It means I get to put this special locomotive in the scenario. You can kind of see it hanging out back there. I'll go ahead and give you another view of it. With a screenshot this time. Let's do this differently. There we go. There it is. So I'm trying to give you a good view of it as well. So that's going to be one of our 4 vehicles today, obviously. I wanted to put a different item in this consist, but I only had one ES44 AC, and I have a couple of ST70s I don't have anything for at the moment, so that was the best I could do. And I didn't want to change my train number since I didn't have room for the other ES44 ACs. So that was the one I was able to put in my train. And there you go. That's what you get to see here. So we're going to go ahead and continue our lovely journey. Now, there is no timetable listed on this version of the scenario, as you can see. On the career version, you're going to have times you have to abide by. Obviously, I've done it, so yeah, we're just going to do a casual drive here and not worry about the times. You have to typically be there by about, I think it's about 3:30 or 3:35, somewhere in that range, 3:34. You have to arrive by that time. You have to meet certain checkpoints along the way. We're just going to enjoy the run. We just went through heck with the last 3 scenarios, especially the Midnight Maiden, which I had to edit to make it work. So we're just going to enjoy it. We're just going to enjoy this. So I'm just going to keep quiet and let you guys enjoy the run unless I see anything worth calling out here. Because this is a long run, and you probably don't want to hear me babble for 80 minutes, so I'll just chime in whenever something's interesting. Here comes a train coming along here, for example. 7891 westbound coal. Now the advantage of this version of the scenario as well, you see that green signal there? We can go center on our player and we can actually see the signals on the map. So that green is going to probably, whoops, it's probably going to turn to a red in just a moment here. If it hasn't already. Ah, still green apparently. Oh well. If we look ahead, we're going to find another green signal up here, I'm pretty sure. That, those are, yeah, our signal's green right there, so we continue to have greens. So that's one thing you can do on a standard map that you can't do on a career map. Those signals are not shown on the career map. Now, another little note about those signals as well on a UK map, because these signals all have numbers on the UK map, you're going to find that in a lot of the DLC, the numbers are actually replicated, especially the newer DLC like Suburban Glasgow. You'll find the numbers of the signals are actually replicated. I actually remember to a couple signals by their numbers in the final run of Suburban Glasgow. I actually refer to a couple signals by their numbers. So that's a little bonus with some maps. You actually get signal numbers, you can actually reference them. But in a career scenario, you're not going to be able to see that signal number until you're passing by it. So you have to basically know where it is in a career scenario. Or have all the information on it, which, believe it or not, you can actually get from a Freedom of Information request. I actually found a Freedom of Information request recently that actually asks for all of the Scottish railways, every Scottish railway's gradient profile and signal layout. They gave it to them. It's freely available information. You can ask this for any railway in England, which is quite interesting actually, because I saw another Freedom of Information request, and I don't know how well this is known, so this might be news to some people. I saw a Freedom of Information request back at the end of March for the Appleby to, was it Appleby? No. I can't remember what the place is, but from Settle, on the Settle to Carlisle line, you were able to go to Appleby and another place beyond that. A Freedom of Information request existed for the gradient profile from there to Morecambe, another one from Morecambe to Leeds. Now, anyone who's familiar with Alan Thompson's sim, or ATS as I refer to it, might recall that there's a subway route called the Leeds Lines. Are your eyebrows raised yet? I think we're getting an extension to the Leeds Lines. I think that's what it is. And it's probably going to be connecting to South of Carlisle, and it's probably going to turn into a merged route. That's just a guess. Just a guess. I don't know for sure. And I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong. It could very well be an extension to the actual Steam version of the route as well, which just extends to Leeds and is going to be its own project outside of ATS. There is that possibility as well. Both are possible options. I don't know. So even though this is a casual run, I am going to play it as if I was being scored on it. I am going to try to go the speed limits today as much as I possibly can. But if I do speed or if I end up going under a little bit, who cares? Things don't always go right on the railroad. So you notice we had a green signal there. We are clear to proceed at line speed, which is exactly what I'm doing. Now, an interesting thing about the mini-map on this one, notice my train is... I'm just going to count the number of cars here. I have a shorter train than I did in the first scenario. I'm recognizing that now. Even the Midnight Magnet has a longer train than this one. So this is a shorter train than those two scenarios. So as a result, I'm seen to be zoomed in a lot more on my train than I was on the other scenario due to the length of the train. And that means that I'm not getting a lot of warning for any signal. So if there's a yellow signal, I'm going to have to slow down well in advance of the next signal. That can be a little challenging without looking at the mini-map. Take it back up to 40. Let's check the signal ahead, then we'll hop on the roof and give you a good view. This is an SC-70 coming at us, as you can see, 3844. Carrying some hoppers and some boxcars. That's a varied train. That's a very varied train. Oops. Well, the official version of this had a room for a 200-point buffer anyway, so that still wouldn't have been too bad. Maybe 12 points. Let's hop on the roof. Well, there we go. There you go. Okay, let's get back in the cab. I wanted to make it again, check on my speed. I'm only going to keep the HUD up in the cab, so I'm actually doing some things realistically here. So here's Colores again. I just went back to trying to research information on that locomotive quickly, but I didn't notice the last signal, so I'm actually a little concerned right now that I might have missed something. I'm going to actually cheat and check the map for a second and find out if we missed anything as I poke ahead here. Nope, we're still green. We're good. But that might have been a track change as well. That might have been the case where we had to lower our speed for change in the track. If that's the case, I'm going to have to hit those brakes. I'm going to take the throttle off just in case, just to be safe. There's another train coming along. You see the label coming up here. This is a 5288 westbound mix. Let's watch this one go by. Okay, I'm down to a reasonable speed now, so I'm going to go ahead and put my throttle back up. In the event this was a changeover track and I missed it, I'm now good for the junction if that is the case. And I thought back a little earlier was Caloris. No, we're only coming up to Caloris now. That's, I didn't realize where on the map we were located at the time. A bit of an oopsie. So I've been looking up the railway pictures of the engine that is on the back of our train today. It looks like the last, let's hide you for a second. It looks like the last picture that exists in the Rail Pictures database is from 2014. This was taken on June 9th of 2014. It looks like 5473 was part of this picture as well. I'm just taking a look at the picture here as the rain is starting in our cab. I guess it looks like it's hiding in the back of one of the trains there. Not a very clear picture, unfortunately. But I do see another picture a little earlier in the database that shows the United Way version of the loco, which is a 3300. So, yeah, there are railway pictures of this locomotive online. You can find pretty much almost any locomotive online. And you may have noticed I just went ahead and continued on because I did not see any indication of a change in track. So I just carried on. We're going to go ahead and just hang out here at 35 in this initial rainstorm. Okay, now this looks foreboding. Typically unpredictable Wyoming weather. I tried to tell you, Tom. I tried to tell you. Let's take the throttle off again. I'm okay just cruising along here at 35. I'm at 36 right now, but I'm content at 35 because we're just doing the casual version of this, like I said. By the way, you notice that no smoking sign on the side? They mean it. No smoking while you're driving, kids. Last thing they want you to do when you need to stop for red signal is to be flicking a cigarette at the engine. That's not safe. I've been loud back on them old steam engines. They live on fire. But the smell's got to be horrible with those. Personally, I'm of the opinion that if you want to smoke, you certainly have a free right to do so, but please don't do it around me or anyone else. We don't want to smell it. I actually have neighbors where I live who, when they have people over, there's like 3 of them over out on the porch, just smoking their sticks, their cancer sticks as I call them, and occasionally if the wind is not favorable, it actually makes its way over to my house, and I am not very happy to have that smell at my house, because it can seep in through the windows, especially if it's an open window. You have to close the windows because you don't want that smell in the house, and it gets warm and stuffy in the house. You have to open the window to let the cool air in sometimes. Granted, right now it's stuffy and muggy outside. It's supposed to be a really muggy summer coming up here, so we'll see. But the windows won't be open very often if it's actually that muggy because I'm going to have the air conditioning on, so oh well. There's another signal coming up here. Let's see what this signal says, shall we? In a moment. We're green. Other track's yellow. We don't care about the other track. I'll give you the full view. So now they know for sure we can proceed at line speed. I will continue to do so. Give you a chance to hear those engines roar. There we go. We're still gaining at the current setup, so I'm going to keep it down to level 1 throttle, so we are a slow decline, just as we were before. I can be guilty of missing those whistle boards from time to time. Often a little more than time to time. This is probably why I don't drive a real train, ladies and gentlemen. What's the sound you're wearing at the whistle board? What whistle board? I didn't see one. Something you may have noticed over the course of my sequence of videos here is I've been trying to play with the audio between my different videos to try to get a good mix. On some of my recent recordings, which I've been using for the introduction, I've noticed that my voice seemed a little higher than I expected it to be on the recording. So I've gone ahead and I have, for some of these videos, changed the settings to lower the volume of my voice and actually increase the audio because the audio seemed quiet. So I try to increase that at the same time. So I hope that the mix of the audio and the microphone audio, the game audio of my microphone, I mean to say, I hope the mix is good for you guys. If you think I can improve the quality of my video, you think I need to change some settings, then by all means, just let me know. I'm friendly. I won't bite. You can say just turn the game audio up a tad, or you talk too much, keep turning your voice down. You know, I might be a little insulted about that one, but typically I don't bite. So there's a double yellow, by the way. We need to pay attention to that double yellow. So typically I don't bite. We're not going to have. We can be friendly. I'm friendly about things like that. It's advice to improve the quality of my content and make it so that you're still interested in watching. And possibly more interested in watching because it's more interesting for you at this point. And if I'm going to sit here and say like my videos, subscribe to my channels, which by the way you can do that while I'm saying that, I kind of want to give you a reason to, I want to give you some creative input. If you think that the quality is lacking, tell me. I'll fix it and hopefully I earn your likes and your subs. And while I haven't done it as of this video, I'm hoping to get some kind of donation mechanism set up, one of those subscription service things where you can actually subscribe without having to subscribe to like a Twitch channel or something like that. Why did I put the engine up? I didn't need to. I need to slow down. So that way you can also do a little part to donate to me if you like what I have. It actually would really help me know that you guys really like what I'm doing to make that kind of contribution. It helps me get additional DLC. It helps me buy a little more food so I can survive a little longer in this world and do things like that. It helps me get some additional upgrades to the computer. So possibly even a new computer someday if it works out. So I can play and I can get even better graphics cards. I can get even better setups and I can try to do the absolute utmost in quality in terms of gaming quality. I'm going to turn the wipers off because our storm seems to be stopping for now anyway. Now we are up to 30. I was down a little early, but I'm going to go ahead and accept that because the signal is right there. Oh, no, you're not going up. No. No, you are going up. Okay. You still want to go up. Okay, it's going to be one of those areas, huh? I didn't see what train that was. I need to actually check. That was not the one I wanted to keep an eye on. Good. There is something else I'm looking for, so I am just going to go ahead and lower my throttle a little bit here. I'm just going to make sure, indeed, that that is not the train I wanted. So let's go take a look at that train a little closer, shall we? Oops. We're just going to look a little bit closer at this train. So you can see the engine's farther over here. And nope, nothing special about that train, so we're okay with that. So I've now kind of hinted at you that there is something else we want to look for. And I kind of already said there were a few things I put in here. But I just wanted to make sure because I didn't think that was one I changed. But I wanted to just double check and make sure in case I missed it. I didn't want to give you giving you the opportunity to see something unique on this. We should be coming up on the end of our 30 restriction as we get past the signal. We're going to have the last part of the train move onto the track. I can't go back and check it right now, so I can't show it to you right now. But we are going to be getting into the area where we can speed up to 40 again in a moment. In fact, we're going to have a downhill that's going to help us do that. So we're going to have it happen before the end of the tunnel because there's the switch right there. As the orange mark goes to the off the map, there it is. We're at 40 now. We can speed up. As we leave the Hermosa tunnel. I'm going to go ahead and take the throttle down to 12 again. In fact, I'm going to zero it out. Because we're going to be gaining speed very soon on this downhill. In fact, we're already gaining speed with no throttle. So a 0.8% gradient is already affecting us. We're going to need to be ready to put on a small brake application just to manage our speed. And that's all we're going to do for that. We're getting indications that on the right track, probably a spur coming up here. It's going to be 40 and 40, passenger or freight. I think this is where track 3 rejoins again. So we're back to regular line speed green signals. I need to put on a small brake application. We'll do that right now. And I'll start powering through that brake. So as with the introduction to Sherman Hill, there's our change to 40 over on that track, by the way. So as with the introduction to Sherman Hill, we're just going to go ahead and maintain a 25% throttle with a 23% brake application. That should pretty much keep us around where we want to go. We can bump up to 37 as we need to. There's a train over here. What is this? Westbound cement. A little slow on that horn. So we are managing our speed nicely. We are going to have a 45 mile per hour speed limit. We're going to be back to 40 at the top of the hill. Because I'm trying to play this somewhat realistically as if we were still doing career scoring, I am going to try to manage the speed limits here. But there's no penalty if we do speed. Just our employer basically saying no bonus for you. And you have to explain why you're speeding. We are coming, I believe, to the bottom of this little valley here as the westbound cement train is out of our sight now, and the track number 3 heads down off to the east, or our right, not necessarily east, but our right, behind that rock. So I'm going to remove the brake at this time because we are going uphill again. And I want my 25% to actually gain speed, which I am now very, very quickly, I might add. Let's remove that throttle for a moment just to make sure we don't break the speed limit. As you can see, I've reapplied the 12% throttle, 12.5% actually, because if you're dividing by 8, there is a half in each of those sections. 12.5 times 8 is 100. So here's your math lesson of the day. What is this train coming up? Westbound Hoppers, SD70M. now go up to 45 miles per hour. I will attempt to gain some speed, but we have to keep in mind with a speed limit not too far away from us, we're not going to necessarily get all the way up to 45. We're going to have to hit the brakes immediately. So I'm not going to actually go too far. I'm going to just add to the throttle a little bit right now, and then I'm going to cut the throttle off and let the uphill slow us down again, because the 40 is going to be coming into effect. So I'm going to cut the throttle off right now. And we're dropping we were dropping very nicely. Now we're dropping again nicely. That gives us an idea of what we have to work with, so I put the throttle back on. Oh, here we go again. Well, I was going to give you a rooftop view, but I don't want to have you sitting out in the rain, so we're going to just stay in here and keep dry. So I dropped back to 40. It turns out I can still go 45 right now, so I'm going to go ahead and reinsert some speed here. I'm more concerned with what happens when we go over the hill, because that's where the 40 starts. Ooh, that was a peal of thunder. Let's risk moving the speed up to 43, 44. And off. Because we don't have enough warning to react to that 40. I don't want to risk speeding right into that 40 out of 45. Or 42 even. Okay, we still have a little bit of time to go fast here. There's our warning for the 40 coming up. So now we definitely want to make sure we don't exceed the speed for too long, because that 40 is coming up. I did see the sign that time. So one thing worked out. There's the 40 coming up. I have the throttle off and hopefully slow down in time for the for at least the 40.9, you know? There we are, 40.9. And since I know the downhill, there you can see it right now, in fact, the downhill starts right after that 40, so I am not even adding any throttle right now. I am leaving it alone. As soon as the speed starts going up, I'm applying a brake application. We just passed the highest point, Sherman Hill. We're now on our way down. And as you can see, we are under the rule of a 40-mile-per-hour speed limit. I'm going to get out of the train. I'm going to pause here for a second. That was not a very professional pause. But the reason I wanted to pause here, let's hide the labels. Maybe. Hold on a second. There we go. So the reason I wanted to pause is because this is the other train I wanted to show you today. You're going to notice we have the standard 7704 running this one. But right here you see a special logo. This is the Boy Scouts of America 2010 train, number 2010, hence the 2010 on it. So Boy Scouts of America. If we continue along here, we have the 7400. That is the pink ribbon, the breast cancer locomotive. So one more I want to bring up here. There is the 5000s Evolution Series locomotive, number 7964. And then the last one's just nothing special. So there's the tag on that one. And nothing special on the last one. It's just a reverse 7459. On the other side, we'll look at it from the other direction. You can see the same going the other direction, 7964. Breast cancer. And Boy Scouts. And then, of course, there's me. Just in the way of the lead loco. So let's go ahead and position ourselves. That's almost a perfect picture, isn't it? That's almost a perfect picture right there. So let's go ahead and get rid of the HUD and just give you a good view of this going by. Well, to some extent. I'll try. Here we go. And you got to see my Independence logo on the back of that as well. Let's put some throttle back on our own train. It's a shame that we came upon the Stax train at the exact time that I needed to start slowing down. I had to concentrate on slowing down, and because of that, I still had to make some settings changes on my own train, so I had to concentrate on that. Hence the pause, so I didn't have to worry about that at the same time. I wanted to get that one on the move, but what can you do? I may have just noticed that we passed a double yellow, so we have to expect there could be a red ahead. At the same time, we have to expect that there is a track diversion ahead as well. So it could be one of those two options here. This rain is getting nasty now. I think it's safe to say the storm has arrived. Yeah, no, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell, Tom. I'm already down to 30, which probably didn't need to be yet. This is dispatch. I am routing you through Buford siding to clear track number 2. Another train is having difficulty, and the assist engines need to use the line. Roger. You know what? I think we're going to actually see those assist engines. I think I remember that the assist engines show up in this scenario. So we're going to keep an eye out for a very, very small consist to go by. That's going to be the assist engines. But now that we have that information from dispatch, we know that this is going to be a diversion through the siding. So we know we're going to be pushed over to the siding. And we know we can stay at 30 miles per hour as our siding limit. So, or track diversion limit rather. We're going to have to do that again to leave the siding. So we're probably going to be staying at 30 for a little while here. So I'm just coasting at 29.4 right now. I slowed down a little early. Like I said, we're not being graded on this version of the run, so normally you might have to push it a little bit more if you want to get full points. And as a friend of mine says, why would you waste time chasing points when it's not realistic? It's not realistic to drive the way that they want you to chase points, so why would you do that? He has a point. Speaking of points. And sometimes the points do matter when they're those kind of points. So I was going to let the speed go over the limit, but I think we are going to be coming up on our siding very soon, so I don't want to go too high over the limit here. of 30. We are going into a 55, but that means nothing for us because we're going to be at 30 before we even can get to the 55. So if you want to know how far it is before we see the track that we're being moved to, around this curve we're going to be moved to that track, and if we continue along down the track here, that's a regular train, but this I believe is the light engine assist engine we're going to run into. Or not run into, but at least encounter. So the assist engines are there, they're going to probably move from there after we get off the track. There's our change in limit to 30. So as I said, we're going to be going into a 30 limit. You can see the sign right there. We're going to cross that 30 as the back of our train crosses the 55. What does that mean to us? That means we're going 30. Because that's the lower of the two speed limits. So we're not going to get to experience the full 55. Not yet anyway. I don't think that was anything interesting. I could be mistaken. So we actually went into the 55. We actually did have a rule where 55 was our allowed speed limit, but now we are indeed confined to the 30 miles per hour. What was that train that went by? I want to actually find out what that train was, just because I'm curious. I didn't grab the number. Ah, westbound coal. Fantastic. And let's center back on me. So we are clearing the signal right now. We might actually have another shot at going 40 in here. Let's find out. We might be confined to 30. Checking the back of the train. Yeah, we're confined to 30. We're already on the center track, so we're not allowed to go any faster right now. We have to maintain our speed. But there is a 55 limit coming up there, which tells me we're probably going to be moving on to another track that can go that speed limit soon. At that point, we can really start listening to these puppies roar. So our next task just showed up. Go via Granite Main 1 West. That destination is in 6.5 miles from now. We're now crossing over onto the number 1 track. So this track has cleared for us. The light engines are hanging out up here somewhere. There's the light engines. They are now moving. And that's the end of that. Now, if there were to be any more immediate traffic on track number 1, they could have very well had us wait in the siding for the light engines to go by. Realistically, that might have been what happened. The light engines would have gone by and would have gotten a signal to go back on line number 2. So that seems to be a more realistic alternative. So either this is a higher priority train than the other westbound trains, and which means they have to stop and wait for us, or it just turns out that that's how this scenario routed us. As you can see, I'm letting these puppies roar. In fact, let's remove the brake for a moment, shall we? Put a little bit of speed back on, then I'll put the brake application back. Okay, let's lower that down to 0. And now I'll put the brake application back where it was. So we are now going 45. That's closer to the speed I wanted to go right now because I know there's a 45 area coming up. Though at some point we are going to have to find a way back over to track number 2. We will have to go back down 230 at that time. And when I see a signal warning us of that, I will immediately drop our throttle, make sure our throttle is on 0, and make sure our brakes are functioning. However, we are now on a 1.5% gradient. This is something we need to account for. We may need to increase the brakes at a future time. But for right now, we are good. Hey, weather seems to be clearing again. Good though the storm seems to have passed for now. At least for now. Yeah, we are actually gaining some speed here, so I am going to have to slightly increase the brake application. So if I look down at the locomotive for a second, you're going to see the PSI hasn't done anything. So I'm trying to increase the brake pressure just a little bit. And now we're getting a slight addition to the PSI up to 82, 83. Now down to 82. There's our max speed, by the way. And that is working to hold our speed. So we are in a better position control-wise right now. We're going to go ahead and maintain the brakes here for the time being because it looks like we are getting a perceptible drop in speed that will help us when we need to get down to the 30. So I'm going to go ahead and throttle through this right now. Apparently I tripped the PCS. I'm going to come to a complete stop at this point. That appears to be a problem with something I did driving the train, and it looks like maybe the Independence Loco did not like being attached to us. So it looks like something I did was not appreciated by the engine here. And I'm going to go ahead and reset the situation here. I'm going to go ahead and reverse back and pick up my train. So the engine did not like what I did. PCS is reset. I'm going to go ahead and reverse back carefully. Not too fast. Slow down, slow down. get back over to here and make sure I don't blow up the train. That'd be the worst thing to do. So we're going to go back here and pick it up. So I'm a little closer. Let's go ahead and just power through this, shall we? So we're going to try to show what happens when you try to pick up your train. That's... Ladies and gentlemen, that is a bug that can happen in this game. That is a bug that can happen in this game. What can you do? Nothing you can do about that. That is one of those weird bugs that can happen in this game. We're going to come back to here and we're going to resume our journey. So as you can see, I did have a problem with the PCS tripping. I am going to go ahead and just run the game back to around the point where we diverge onto the number 3 track. I'm going to go ahead and just do that off camera because there's no reason to show you that a second time. So I'm going to just say make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're going to have a part 2 on this that I did not expect to have. And this part 2 is going to literally be the last part of the journey going into, there's our first train again, by the way. It's going to be the latter part of the journey going into Cheyenne on the downhill 1.5 gradient. So we're going to hope that we don't have that problem again. I'm going to try to register a save after the first storm so that I don't have so much to recover here. But we're going to go ahead and just get ourselves going and get ourselves to that point. I will rejoin you as soon as I am back at the spot before where we had the train drift. That does happen, unfortunately. It is a weird thing that does happen. It's a bug in the game. There's nothing to do about it. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time for more Let's Play Train Simulator, where we're going to finish this scenario. See you in a moment.